So I came on here live from Carlsbad, California on my balcony right near the ocean front, which was really fun, really cool to do. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you guys don't want me ever recording when I'm on vacation again, I won't do that again. But if you enjoyed that, let me know. And I came on here and I talked about the Arizona State. I came over here and I talked about the Arizona State Sun Devils a couple of days after their first game. And when everyone else was hitting the panic button, I was hitting the just relax button. And Arizona State came out on top in a game where they nearly doubled them in yardage, and Sam Leavitt looked really good, and Jordyn Tyson looked really good, and Xavier Alford and Relique Brown looked fine. And Kenny Dillingham, I thought, did the exact right thing. He came out and said, we got outcoached, we got outplayed. I believe that NAU win was actually one of the better case scenarios for the Arizona State Sun Devils. They're going into an SEC game where they haven't had a lot of success. They're going to go into Mississippi State and play a game against an SEC team. Like, do I need to say any more than that? They're going to have SEC talent. They're going to be able to compete with some of the big dogs, and they're going to be a team that upsets someone, because that's what happens in the bottom of the barrel of the SEC. Because they're not bad teams. They're just not as good as the Alabamas, the LSUs, the Floridas. Here's why Saturday was best case scenario for the Arizona State Sun Devils. The worst thing that could have happened was obviously a loss. But for all the hand-wringing and all the upset and panic button pushing from media and Arizona State Sun Devils fans, and I love to push those things. That's what I do on this show, but I only do it if I need to do it. And so, with that being the case, immediately you're talking about ASU winning that game. But not the right kind, but not the worst kind of win. And bear with me on this. If Arizona State would have clobbered NAU and clobbered them by 40 points, and Relique Brown had 200 rushing yards, and Sam Leavitt had 300 passing yards and some rushing yards as well, and Jordyn Tyson looked as dominant as he did on Saturday, you duplicate that in another game, ASU's feeling really good about themselves. And going into an SEC matchup against Mississippi State, I don't want them feeling great about themselves. I want them going in there ready to play their ass off and be a team that understands they're still overlooked. And I believe the best thing happened to ASU. The absolute best thing happened to them on Saturday. They won a game, but there were clear concerns, and everyone on the team can say to themselves, yep, we won, and we won handily, and NAU was never a team that had a chance to beat us, but we understand what we need to fix. And some of those things are offensive line issues. Some of those things are penalties. Some of those things are defensive pass rush. Listen, I'm not going to tout how great NAU is, because I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to lie to you. However, NAU is a pretty good football program in the FCS. This isn't a Tarleton State or some just garbage organization. They're pretty good. Look at their record under Brian Wright. I looked it up. I think they've lost like 8 games under him total, and he's won a bunch. So they're a good program. I'm not saying they're an elite program. I'm not saying that they did anything more than give their best effort in a game in which they won't have that big of a game in the next half decade. I mentioned that as well. But ASU gets to go into Mississippi State not feeling great about themselves. Kenny Dillingham made it pretty clear they have some real initial things to work on. And I mentioned some of those. The penalties can't happen. The offensive line troubles can't happen. Especially against an SEC opponent, you're going to get absolutely ran through. You got to get pressure at minimum up the middle on these SEC teams and make quarterbacks feel some presence so that they can't step up in the pocket. So I know that NAU is a program that, yeah, maybe ASU could have looked a little better than, but these things happen too. You never watched that game thinking NAU had a chance to win that game. Not once. You never watched that game and thought to yourself, wow, NAU's got a shot here. You never thought that. Not once. And so, yeah, were there clear things to work on? Sure. But ASU one, didn't deserve to drop in the coaches poll, but let's take it for what it is, a positive thing. Arizona State gets to go into a game against Mississippi State where they're doubted. And that was the best version of Arizona State last year. The absolute best version. When they walked into games and felt like they were disrespected. And even though they won, they fell in the coaches poll. Immediately, people are starting to doubt them. So not only did they win that game, but they won that game with some concerning fashion, knowing that they have to go into practice. Kenny Dillingham has all the tools in the world to be able to coach them up. And ultimately, it's exactly where ASU should be. It's a perfect place for them to be. Doubted, counted out, and immediately seen as a team that is going to lose or on upset watch against Mississippi State this week. But here's what's going to happen. Arizona State, because you either believe in the coaching of Kenny Dillingham or you don't, is going to reel in the penalties. They're going to reel in the offensive line troubles. Maybe have a running back chip on a tight end. Have a running back chip on a defensive end. Maybe bring a couple of more guys into protection. But the biggest thing is, on the road, what two things travel? Defense, which I thought ASU actually played pretty well defensively, outside of some concerns getting to the quarterback, but not major. So that is going to travel well. But what else travels well? Running the football. And in the minimum workload that we saw from our running backs, they looked pretty good. Raleek Brown, Kanye Udo, get those guys involved. Go into Mississippi State, gash the defense, get on the play action, find Jordyn Tyson streaking downfield. I think the hand-wringing for ASU winning a game by damn near double the points that NAU had is absolutely nuts, especially in the first game of the season where NAU has not played a game that big in the last half decade because they got to go down to a team that just went to the college football playoff and wanted to spoil that. And so at the end of the day, it's nonsense, guys. It's complete and utter nonsense. ASU looked fine. Can I get, and especially in a week one game, they don't have the preseason in the NFL. In college football. So can I watch ASU against an SEC opponent before I make a major grand declaration on this season? If they come in and get bounced or lose in that game against Mississippi State, yeah, you think I'm going to come on here and be sugarcoat rainbows and unicorns? Yeah, I don't think so. That's not why you guys come to this channel. So for now, ASU's perfectly fine. And if they dominate on Saturday, everyone in the chat's going to have to owe me an apology because I've been the one all week not pushing the panic button because NAU scored 13 points in a game as well or 18 points in a game as well where they shouldn't have scored that many, but they were calling timeouts to try to score on ASU second stringers. Let's reel it in. I know we all have low sports self-esteem, but let's reel it in with the ASU Sun Devils.